The time by Caracas is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. A major JSE debut, a new CARICOM growth push, and defense stocks drive German markets higher. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Wednesday, July 1, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Qantas Advantage Incorporated makes its debut on the JSE, following the largest initial public equity offering on the exchange in 6 years. Also ahead, newly appointed CARICOM chair pushes an economic agenda with emphasis on trade, economic expansion, and resilience. And later, Germany's stock market pushes higher as defense companies lead gains and drive the DAX 40 upward. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
This project marks a celebration of our 30th Hall of Fame and aims to highlight the achievements, challenges, and invaluable lessons of those who have shaped and are shaping the future of our economy. Our aim is to celebrate the voices and stories of 30 remarkable leaders in Jamaica's private sector. Join us as we explore these narratives of resilience, leadership, and vision.
To open a savings account for my son John. I really want him to start saving and managing his own money.
And I need for Save to visit my father in New York.
Okay, based on what you said and our risk assessment, he will qualify for simplified customer due diligence requirements. I'll need your ID, proof of income, TRN, and John's ID as well.
Okay, here you go.
Opening an account is easier than you think using simplified customer due diligence requirements, also called CDD.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a new addition to Jamaica's capital market. Qantas Advantage Incorporated has officially listed on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange after closing what has emerged as the largest initial public share offer on the local exchange in 6 years. The company raised approximately 2.4 billion Jamaican dollars from more than 2,200 investors, making the offer oversubscribed from the 1.5 billion Jamaican dollars the company was seeking to raise. Speaking during today's listing ceremony, JSE CEO Livingston Morrison says the strong response from investors reflects growing confidence in both Qantas Advantage business model and Jamaica's expanding capital markets.
This listing is a product of a strong vote of confidence from the investing public. When Qantas Advantage opened its initial public offer, it was oversubscribed. 17 companies, over 2,000, almost 2,200 individual Jamaicans. An offer that attracts that level of interest tells us a great deal about how investors regard this company and the opportunity it represents.
Beyond the successful Qantas Advantage listing, Morrison says participation in the country's capital market has grown rapidly over the last decade.
This listing also comes at a moment of real significance for the development of the market. At the end of 2015, the Jamaica Central Securities Depository held just under 150,000 accounts. Today, it holds 427,000 accounts.
That was JSE CEO Livingston Morrison. At the same time, Qantas Advantage Director Jacqueline Sharp described the company's listing on the exchange as a significant milestone.
This is a very significant milestone for the company and a very meaningful step in our journey to build a regional investment platform that connects capital with opportunity.
And fresh off its successful listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Sharp says the company plans to channel capital raised from investors into projects designed to support business expansion, housing development, and broader economic growth across the region.
At its core, QA exists to connect capital with opportunity. Our aim is to finance businesses and projects using flexibility, innovation, and sound structuring. We want to help to unlock growth, support development, and broaden access to financing for businesses across the region. That purpose is already reflected in the areas that we are pursuing. We have been working with qualified developers to support housing projects, including affordable and middle-income housing. This is especially important to us. It is not simply about construction. It is about improving the housing stock, supporting community development, creating jobs, and contributing to the growth of the Jamaican economy.
Qantas says its growth ambitions extend well beyond Jamaica, with plans to pursue investment opportunities across multiple sectors while building a stronger regional footprint.
We see opportunities in the manufacturing and productive sectors, as well as opportunities outside of Jamaica that allow us to diversify and build a stronger regional platform. For our shareholders, our commitment is clear. We are focused on delivering value, executing our strategy with discipline, and building QA as a company known for sound governance, prudent risk management, and reliable shareholder returns, including our commitment to being a dividend-paying stock.
That was Qantas Advantage Director Jacqueline Sharp. In financial news, the Jamaica Stock Exchange has moved to suspend trading in the shares of two junior market companies after both failed to file mandatory audited financial statements required under exchange rules. Effective July 1, trading in shares of Kintyre Holdings J.A. Limited and Atlantic Hardware and Plumbing Company Limited have been halted after both companies missed the deadline to submit their audited financial statements for the period ending December 31, 2025. The reports were originally due on March 31 this year, making both filings now 91 days overdue. Under the junior market rules, companies that fail to submit audited financial statements within 90 days of the deadline face automatic suspension of trading until the required reports are filed with the exchange. The suspension means investors will be unable to buy or sell shares in either company until both firms become compliant, as the exchange moves to enforce disclosure standards aimed at protecting market transparency and investor confidence. And in other news, Jamaica's national minimum wage will officially increase today, July 1, marking another rise in labor costs for employers while putting more income into the hands of the country's lowest paid workers. Under the new rates, the weekly minimum wage for a 40-hour work week moves from $16,000 to $17,000, while the standard hourly rate increases from $400 to $425 per hour. Overtime rates have also been adjusted, with time and a half moving from $600 to $637.56, while double time pay increases from $800 to $850 per hour for work done on rest days or public holidays. The adjustment is expected to directly affect sectors heavily reliant on minimum wage labor, including retail, security, hospitality, and domestic services, as businesses prepare for higher payroll expenses beginning this week. We go now to updates from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Wednesday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $158.79, the Canadian for $111.18, the pound sterling for $210.62, while the going rate for the euro is $182.15. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 109 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 47 declined, and 17 traded firm. Leading the winners are CAC 2000, Caribbean Cream, Image Plus Consultants, and Margaritaville Turks, while leading the losers are Iron Rock Insurance Company, Stationery and Office Supplies, Knutsford Express Services, and Berger Paints Jamaica. The main index advanced by 122.09 points to close at 353,980.92 points. The junior market index declined by 68.06 points to close at 3,020.58 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, we're discussing jurisdiction risk. Jurisdiction risk refers to the potential dangers businesses or financial institutions face when operating in a foreign country or legal environment. These risks can stem from differences in laws, regulations, political conditions, or economic instability. For banks and investors, jurisdiction risks has become increasingly important, especially when operating in countries considered high risk for weak regulatory oversight or poor controls against money laundering and terrorism financing. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
This project marks a celebration of our 30th Hall of Fame and aims to highlight the achievements, challenges, and invaluable lessons of those who have shaped and are shaping the future of our economy. Our aim is to celebrate the voices and stories of 30 remarkable leaders in Jamaica's private sector. Join us as we explore these narratives of resilience, leadership, and vision.
welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Newly appointed chairman of the CARICOM community, CARICOM, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, says the region must start delivering more visible economic opportunities for its citizens. As he officially assumed the leadership of the regional bloc today, the St. Lucian Prime Minister says his 6-month tenure will focus heavily on economic cooperation, stronger regional trade, and building more resilient Caribbean economies.
We must also continue to build a more resilient and sustainable region. This means advancing climate action, strengthening food and nutrition security, supporting economic growth, embracing digital transformation, expanding opportunities for trade and investment, and improving the movement of people, skills, services, and ideas across our community. At the heart of this work must be our people. Every Caribbean citizen, regardless of age, gender, ability, background, occupation, or circumstance, must be able to see themselves reflected in the regional agenda and feel that CARICOM is working to improve their lives, expand their opportunities, and strengthen their future.
Pierre also says CARICOM's long-term success will ultimately depend on whether regional cooperation translates into real opportunities.
The success of CARICOM must ultimately be measured by whether our people feel the benefits of integration in their daily lives. Because integration that our people cannot feel will not last. Together, we can build a Caribbean community that is more united, more inclusive, more resilient, and more prepared for the future.
That was CARICOM Chairman and Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip J. Pierre. The Nevis Island Administration is moving ahead with a multi-million-dollar expansion of the Vance W. Amory International Airport, designed to attract more visitors and strengthen long-term economic growth. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Premier Mark Brantley says expansion work will begin on the runway while discussions continue over a $20 million concessional financing package from Taiwan to fund additional development. Brantley notes improving air access remains critical if Nevis is to expand tourism capacity and compete more aggressively for higher visitor arrivals.
We have not yet finalized the landward side of things because the $20 million that has been kindly offered to us by the government and people of the Republic of China, Taiwan, on very concessionary terms, we have not yet had the guarantee necessary from the federal government to move that forward. The Honorable Prime Minister and I have had a number of discussions on that. I think that we might have a way, but so far that has not yet been finalized. What we are going to proceed with is the airport side. That is the airstrip, the landing strip, and all of those. As somebody pointed out to me, airplanes need to land on a runway. And so we should not delay the project talking about roads and other infrastructure. Let us get the runway done.
The Nevis Premier says the groundbreaking is expected later this week, marking the start of one of the island's largest infrastructure projects in recent years.
We are finally where we need to be to move this forward. We hope to have the groundbreaking tomorrow with construction to start shortly thereafter. And so
in the meantime, businesses in Nevis got an economic boost during the St. Kitts Music Festival weekend after inter-island travel hit its highest level on record. Nevis recorded its busiest ever inter-island travel period during the St. Kitts Music Festival weekend, with Premier Mark Brantley pointing to figures as evidence of growing economic activity. Brantley says more than 20,000 passenger movements were recorded between St. Kitts and Nevis during the festival period, the busiest inter-island traffic period ever recorded.
And for the first time in our history, we have had movements of over 20,000 passengers during the weekend of the music festival. That represents, ladies and gentlemen, a 39% growth over the last 3 years. I think that that is significant.
He says the increased directly into stronger business activity for several enterprises across the island.
When we think of 20,000 people moving back and forth, we have to think, of course, of the ferry operators. But we also must think of the taxis. We must think of those who are employed with the ferries. We must think of NASPA and what NASPA is going to receive as people are moving. They pay a nominal amount. We must think of the spin-offs of those who were in Sinkets for the Music Fest and came over to Nevis to enjoy the beaches and enjoy the restaurants and all that Nevis has to offer. I think this is what national economic activity looks like.
That was Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley. In financial news, Trinidad-based Endeavour Holdings has reported a steep drop in earnings, with profits falling more than 50% after weaker revenue and higher costs hit the company's bottom line. For the financial year ended April 30, 2026, profit after tax fell to 22.9 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars, down from $48.2 million a year earlier. Revenue also declined 10% to $80.3 million, while operating profit dropped to $42.6 million. At the same time, profit before tax declined to $30.5 million. The weaker performance was driven by lower revenue, a $6.7 million fair value loss on investment properties, and higher operating and administrative expenses. Despite the earnings decline, total assets remained relatively stable at $950.6 million, while earnings per share fell to 70 cents from $1.46. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 17 securities, of which 8 advanced, 2 declined, and 7 traded firm. Today's winners are L.J. Williams B., A.S. Braden & Sons Holdings, JMMB Group, and National Enterprises, while the losers today are Trinidad Cement and Trinidad and Tobago NGL. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT Index advanced by 4.07 points to close at 1,435.63. The Composite Index also advanced, but by 3.30 points to close at 991.38. The Cross-Listed Index gained 0.35 points to close at 72.19, while the SME Index remained at 86.92. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
It's feeling so good right now.
We get the big contract. 50,000 units a month for 3 years. Great. Won't need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange junior market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Welcome back. In international news, Germany's DAX 40 index closed Wednesday's session higher, extending gains from the previous trading day and outperforming other major European markets. The index gained 0.2% to close at 25,040, with defense stocks leading the advance. Rheinmetall surged 6.1% following reports that Germany is planning to work with the United States to expand domestic weapons production capacity. Other defense-related firms also posted strong gains, with Rank rising 4.7% and Hensoldt climbing 4.4%. Additional gains came from SAP Scout 24 and Fresenius. At the European Central Bank ECB Forum on Central Banking, ECB President Christine Lagarde said risks to inflation and economic growth across the euro area are becoming more balanced. Meanwhile, Federal Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh says inflation risks in the United States have eased. Meanwhile, fresh economic data from the United States points to continued resilience in the construction sector. Construction spending in the United States edged higher in May, although growth came in slightly below market expectations. Total construction spending rose 0.1% month over month to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $2.21 trillion. That followed a downwardly revised 0.3% increase recorded in April. Residential construction activity led the increase, rising 0.4% during the month. Within non-residential construction, declines in manufacturing, commercial, and power projects were offset by gains in office, education, and highway construction. For the first 5 months of 2026, total construction spending reached $858.4 billion. That represents a 2.7% increase compared with the same period last year. And in Eastern Europe and North Asia, Russia's unemployment rate fell slightly in May as the country's labor market remained under pressure from persistent worker shortages. The unemployment rate declined to 2.1% from 2.2% in April. The number of unemployed workers fell from 1.7 million to 1.6 million during the month. At the same time, total employment increased to 74.7 million workers. The labor force also expanded slightly, pushing the employment rate higher to 61.5%. Officials say labor shortages continue affecting multiple sectors of the economy. The shortages have been linked to military mobilization and continued outward migration following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The government now projects a workforce shortage of approximately 3.1 million workers by 2030. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items, such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Qantas Advantage Incorporated debuts on JSE after oversubscribed IPO. Regionally, new CARICOM chair pushes growth-focused regional agenda. And internationally, German stocks rise as defense sector powers DAX higher. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.